And the second one is to support laws that would get rid of workplace bullying in the workplace. And let me tell you, it's a busy schedule, you know. And what we do is we have a variety of tools to accomplish the education part. We have our website. We have 6 social media sites. We educate people. We also have a YouTube channel that we do videos, and now we've added, as of yesterday, we had our first episode for a short podcast talking about workplace bullying.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been
And
doing that?
oh, I go back to 2006,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm the newbie in the group.
Who were the others?
Well, uh, the one of our directors is our founder, and she founded us back in 2004, and uh, she handpicked me to take over for her. Um,
What made her hand pick you?
well, that's a good question because uh, I would come to her meetings and talk about all the cases that I had as a shop steward. I was a union steward in the Cal EPA building where there was 3,100 uh, state workers there and 7 different unions representing them. And I happened to be with the union that had the most representation there. And one thing I started to find out was that the unions have no idea how uniquely qualified they are to take this fight on. And it's because of their organizing skills. Um, over the, give you an example, over the 14 years that I was a shop steward, uh, I handled close to 1,000 cases.
Wow.
Yeah, in a 3,100 employee building. Uh, so I had the quickest solutions to my cases when I did organizing. When I went through the formal process with the member, and one thing we tell the members that are experiencing this bullying is they are in charge. I just simply advise them, you know, let them know what they can do, what they can't do, how they have to proceed to the next step, and that sort of thing. But they make the decisions. We call that member driven. And I will let them, in the first meeting, I will let them know that they're in the driver's seat. Well, most of these people are traumatized, and some of them come to me exhibiting complex PTSD symptoms, and then you dig a little bit to find out how long this thing has been going on, and they tell me that, oh, it started about 5 years ago. Well, one thing that we have found is that if we get them help right away, they don't go through the dark steps of what targeted people feel. That starts out with the anxiety, and it adds quite a bit of shame to it on their part. In other words, why did this happen to me? Why? What? What did I do to deserve this kind of treatment? And the more they think that stuff through, the easier it is for them to get depressed. And without help, we know that now that that depression leads to suicidal tendencies. Or if they don't have the suicidal tendencies, it can lead to a mass shooting. Not that it will, but it can. In other words, what these targets want is they want justice to the perpetrator. And if they don't get it, they will figure out a way to do it themselves. So we know from even our own research that about between 15 and 20% of the mass shootings are from people being bullied and not getting the help. So going back to my earlier statement, if we get them the help, they don't go down that path. And we can also recommend, because we know there's outward symptoms of a person that's been bullied. And so we know from those outward symptoms that to recommend that they go see a therapist. We recommend that they only use a trauma-informed therapist, because if the therapist doesn't do that,
are you a therapist yourself?
No. But I had to learn all this stuff in order to properly represent my members.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not a therapist and I'm not a psychologist. I was trained by a good psychologist, though.
Mm-hmm.
And
and only in your area, or are you all over the world?
No, we're only in California. But we know how to help people to be able to get help, and also document their cases so that they can take it to the next level if they have to get an attorney.
Now, could I ask you to do me a favor? Because
sure.
you might get kicked off of my platform because you don't have a underline underneath your name. So in the next minute or so, I might ask you to click on my name and use LinkedIn if you want to, or do a little simple registration. By clicking on my name, it'll open up a new tab. So
I thought I did a registration right in the as I came in.
Not if you use the sign up button, that just goes to my form, so I can keep in touch with those that are interested in coming to my beachside resort online convention Mondays.
Yeah, it asks for my name.
The sign in is just a name and an email, but to register for this platform, to get an underline under your name, you have to click on my name underneath my video. Right over here, you see my name.
Yeah.
And when you click on my name, it should open up in a new tab.
Okay.
And then register through LinkedIn, so you don't have to make a new password, or just put in your name and email there. And then you could refresh.
Okay, it says connect now.
Okay.
There,
When you clicked on my name, it
okay, it says create an account.
correct. Correct.
Okay, that's what you want me to do?
Correct.
Okay.
Not rocket science.
Uh,
And
no, it's not.
there's no fee. That way we can continue to have a dialogue through some networking questions after you add maybe a picture, a couple of words about your business if you like. And then when you hit enter and complete that, then at the top tab, you'll see the Skylarverse in a tab, and just I'll ask you to hit refresh after you register so that your name will be underlined. I won't lose you. You just have to hit refresh after you register.
Okay.
I actually,
Well,
I have a whole agenda here. I follow the Toastmasters agenda in all of my Monday meetings.
oh, okay.
If you ever been
Been
a
a while since
Toastmaster.
it's been a while since many, many years ago.
Mm-hmm. And in another minute or so, I'll record on this platform and I'll stream it. So you should maybe get a little bit of extra free PR.
Oh, I like this box. I am not a robot,
Yeah, you have to
but
just.
with AI, I could be.
I don't know if the AI could hit that button though. For some reason, they say a lot of the sites have that. So maybe somebody knows what they're doing.
Okay, let's see.
It's like an IQ test, right?
Yeah, something like that.
You making progress over there?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to upload a picture.
Perfect.
I just have to get to, I've got so many files on my computer that I just have to get to the, whoops.
Whoops is a technical term, everybody.
Yeah, it sure is. It's used a lot in IT.
I should play some music while you're doing it. Can you hear this?
It's time for another segment of Mr. and Mrs. Medicare, saving seniors from a high cost of healthcare, debunking Medicare, making Medicare easy to understand for all seniors. All guests of any of the Medicare segments received a free ebook written by your MedicareLady.com. Here are your hosts, Paul and Sarah Finkelstein.
Did you hear that?
Yep.
Just making sure it's not my ears only. And after you hit enter and save all that, you can look at the tab at the top of your browser that says Skylarverse and click on that tab from the tab you're on now. And then hit refresh in that browser. And then your name should be underlined. I like watching somebody look at a website. I could like see the smoke coming out of your ears.
Oh.
The gears turning. I think I have another guest here. I might get to have a guest.
Oh, okay.
You'll get to meet Mary. This is Mary.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Mary.
You've met Mary before? Maybe. He's setting up his profile, Mary.
Okay.
We're watching the human brain, the gears turning inside his head, and smoke coming out his ears while he's setting up a profile.
For some reason, I couldn't get Skylar to recognize my camera.
I am actually, I couldn't get it to recognize my camera either because it wasn't plugged in. And I had VCam.
Mine's plugged in.
That's what we call user error.
We could have a whole topic about that.
Yeah, we could.
User error. So as soon as Jeff clicks on the tab that says Scholarverse and hits the refresh at the top of your browser, you'll have an underline and then you won't get kicked out of this meeting because I had 4 people kicked out. So I wanted to make sure you do it. I don't know. Sometimes it's 10 minutes and sometimes it's 20 minutes. So I don't know if the software.
Where's the refresh?
At the top of your browser, that little recycle symbol.
Oh.
Just,
okay.
Just tap on that in this Scholarverse tab, and we won't lose you. You'll just come back in. You'll see green for a little bit, and then you'll come right back in, just in case we, don't see your picture for temporarily. So while you're doing that, I'm going to begin the meeting since it's 5:37, and hope you stick around and manage, and we'll see an underline there, so we could hear.
Okay, how do I get in? And I'm at Skylar Network.
At the top browser, there's a tab that says Scholarverse. You want to refresh that tab.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So go ahead and refresh, and you'll see green, and you'll come back in. Let's see if he does it. Otherwise, it's just us. But I'm going to hit the gavel on my desk. You probably heard a loud hammer.
So, why did you send me a message?
Excuse me, you're out of order, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a gavel.
Oh, good. You sent me a message about an event on Wednesday.
What event on Wednesday?
You do realize I'm in Minnesota, right?
You're
there we are.
Boogie Bingo Bash.
Oh, that Boogie Bash is
your
local.
bingo thing.
Is local. The Boogie Bingo is local on the 29th in Delray. So if you want to come on down, you're more than welcome to. Just drive on down. You could bring one of those military backpacks and you could pinch a tent in our back. All right. Well, I'm going to hit our gavel over here. We'll start the meeting. I really do have a gavel, Jeff and Mary. And I follow the exact agenda as, I got to hit the record button here. Let me do that just to make it even more fun. All right. Hopefully it works too. Looks like it's working. Let's just check over here.
Yeah, it says started recording.
All right. So now I can hit the gavel again. I'm just making some construction here inside my house. I got some inspiration for you. And today's inspiration is a quote that Jimmy Valvano, a late basketball coach, I think it was from the Philadelphia area or PA somewhere. He was actually recalling the Wheaties guy. I think his name was Bob Richards. Comes to mind, and he had this quote. And Jimmy Valvano, he said that the Wheaties guy said this quote when he was a young kid, and the quote was, "The Lord must have loved ordinary people because He made so many of us ordinary." And then he had this quote that he further said, that Wheaties guy, "Every single day in every walk of life, ordinary people do extraordinary things." And I'll repeat, every single day in every walk of life, ordinary people do extraordinary things. So that's your inspiration. And Jimmy Valvano's additional quote was, or formula for success is you plus motivation equals success, Jimmy V. And then we go to I have to make our veteran stand up here, Mary. and do the Pledge of Allegiance to start our meeting, just like Toastmaster meetings do. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
under
Under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty,
and
and justice
for
for
all.
all.
Thank you so much for participating. That's awesome. Give yourself a round of applause. That's the smallest speech you'll ever hear. Actually, the smallest one is when you do the word of the day, which the word of today is grow. So if you could try to use the word grow in a sentence, by definition, I think it means natural development of increasing size. I'm thinking clean, by the way, and changing physically, growing in a positive attitude. Okay. Sometimes I forget who I'm talking to. I have the comedians in my midst here. All right, as long as we're having fun. And then we go into self-introductions. If you could say, repeat your name after I say your name and say where you're from, your city, your hometown. That's it. You don't have to talk about your business because we have plenty of time for that. This is the networking table topic hour where you'll get 15 table topics between the three of us to get to know each other. And then we'll go into 6-minute business spotlights, and I'll time that as well and tell you the parameters for that. So, Jeff, I didn't see the underline under your name though when you went and hit the refresh circle. And when you hit that refresh circle, your name should have been underlined. Did you actually make a profile on the OMG
Yes.
Cafe?
But he might have to go into his email and verify his account or wait for his account to be verified.
Oh, let me see if let me just duck in there real quick just to see if there's anything waiting there to be verified. I'm gonna check real quick. Well, I do see something to verify, but something's not showing up. So let's hope you stay with us. So tell us, Jeff, before you get cut off in the next 20 minutes or so, just in case that happens. It's nothing personal if it does happen, but we're super glad to meet you here. Just tell us, repeat your name so that you agree your name is Jeff, and we see it there underneath your video, and where you're from, what state, country are you calling in, videoing in?
Yeah, I'm calling in from Sacramento, California.
Okay.
I'm originally from San Diego, and I am the executive director of the California Healthy Workplace Advocates.
Okay, so somebody on our network might be able to exchange networking tips or referrals in the future. This is just a way to get to know each other. So Mary, is that your name?
Yes, sir. I'm Mary. I'm from southern Minnesota, or called Children of the Cornland. And I spent 15 years in the military. Now I specialize in helping families overcome PTSD and trauma and neurodiversity and understand how your brain's wired.
Fantastic. I'll give both of you guys a round of applause for that. And then I'll end that since it's just the three of us here for today on a little mini podcast. So that's why I don't mind if I have one guest or if I have 20 guests. We'll just have, instead of all two of us or one of us doing 15 questions, we spread them out. And I'm Paul Finkelstein in the Delray Beach area, originally from Rockland County, New York. They say it's north of the George Washington Bridge is Canada. It's not true. I'm from New City, New York, which is outside of New York City, about a half hour to 40 minutes north of the George Washington Bridge. Not quite to Canada. Another 6 more hours, you would reach Canada eventually. And now, like every Toastmaster meeting, we're following the exact agenda that Toastmasters does, which is in 145 countries. I like the agenda so much because it keeps you on track. And I think you guys know the power of an agenda. I imagine Jeff couldn't get through all of his meetings unless he had a set agenda too, or his inmates might run his asylum. No pun intended anywhere. So we have a timer roll and a non-counter roll and a grammarian and Toastmaster meetings. I call the timer roll because I'll keep track of all time during the meeting. And so you'll have exactly 1 minute minimum to have a surprise question, a networking question, so we can get to know you. And I'm going to try to get to my clock on my phone so that I could time us all. And then we have an counter in Toastmaster meetings, but this counter, I like to incorporate the counter in all my meetings too, because that way I could make you guys aware of like, so, double clutches, double starts, and the before people start. They're trying to make their brain think and let us hear their brain thinking instead of actually telling us their content. And then there's the grammarian, which is keeping track of the use of language, interesting ways that inspire us, that you guys inspire me. Or you use the word of the day, which is grow. Grow in positive attitude, grow in business, etc. Grow in revenue. And then we'll start with our networking topics. And our networking topics is 1 minute minimum, and you'll see me wave my gavel. And then at 1.5 minutes, I'll wave it again. And then at 2.5 minutes, I'll wave it again, at which you'll have 30 seconds to wrap it up. And I'll pick our first question here. It's not meant to stump, just like in Toastmasters. It's meant to actually help you think on your feet, especially because business people could use that practice. And if you know any businesses that could use a little bit of practice thinking on their feet, have them come any Monday at 5:30 Eastern time at omgtalk.com. Here's our first question. I'll put the minute on the clock, and you can go to 2.5 minutes with 30 seconds to wrap up. Here's the crazy question. I just picked it randomly out of a box. And now, if you don't like this question, choose anything you like to talk about that's business oriented. And that's, whose plastic surgery has finally changed them? Whose plastic surgery has finally changed them from attractive to scary looking? I guess this could be apropos for Halloween coming up. You want to tackle this, Mary? Go ahead, Mary Stanley.
Sure. So, whose plastic surgery took them from beautiful to scary looking?
Mm-hmm.
The person that comes to mind, and I don't know her name off the top of my head, but it was one of the ladies that was a big supermodel back in the 70s or 80s. And she ended up getting the plastic surgery. And what they did is they ended up putting cement fillers in. So she literally ended up looking horrid. They just really messed her up. She just passed away about a year ago, and she ended up living in seclusion. Honestly, personally, a lot of celebrities that when they get the work done, it really wrecks them. When you watch like Barbara Walters, for instance, when she would talk, her face didn't move. Actually on her face.
You froze there for a second there, but you're back. Did you want to end that thought or wrap it up? Or we lost you completely? Maybe she'll come back in. All right, I'll stop her time. That's about 1 minute, 13 seconds. So she's pretty good, Jeff. But while we're waiting for her, I'll give her time to come back, recoup, let her back in because I have a waiting room here set up. Let's see if that's her.
There she is.
Mary,
I got booted out.
Yeah, did you want to wrap up your thought? I'll give you a few more seconds.
Alrighty. So in general, a lot of surgery being done to make yourself prettier really just wrecks you. And a lot of police departments have come out and talked about how they can't diagnose or can't ID you because you've had your face messed up in the bone structure. So being natural, aging gracefully is the best way to go. It helps you grow with your self-esteem and who you are and just accepting who you are as a person. And everybody gets old no matter what.
I'll say that's about 1.5 minutes. Not too shabby. Okay, Jeff. Oh, no, I forgot that I'm not supposed to say the name. So now it can either be me or Jeff for this next question. I'll leave it by a surprise. How are your character and reputation different? How is your character and reputation different, Jeff?
Well, that's pretty easy. I have a reputation for being honest, direct, and that I don't like liars. And if I catch somebody lying, they're going to pay hell for it. I have, as I've gone through the aging process of life, I've mellowed out a little bit, and I still don't like liars. I'm not as thunderous as I used to be. I also never really got mad. I just got even with the liars. So, but people knew that all the way through my adult life that if I told them something was true, they could take that to the bank.
Thank you for that, Jeff.
Hey, you're welcome.
Let's segue to our next networking table topic question. Toastmasters calls it table topics, but here I call it networking table topics at OMG Biz Cafe at omgtalk.com. All that mouthful. So, which childhood friend would you like to connect with? Which childhood friend? I don't know what these questions are getting at. I haven't seen these questions, and I've gone through this deck here of cards. But I would like to give a little bit of education for those listeners on YouTube if this works. I'm trying to maybe get more publicity for omgtalk.com on YouTube and my wife's YouTube and see if people might join us while we're talking. If it works and the volume works, I'd be ecstatic. But table topics and Toastmasters and networking table topics is all about helping business owners or individuals think on their feet, not stumping them. And I think that public speaking is probably one of the leading fears next to death and taxes, I might suggest. I don't know, taxes, is that fearful? Are you afraid of taxes, Mary? maybe more
Not at all.
Maybe more death than taxes. Public speaking, maybe not so much now because you do a podcast regularly, but a lot of people, they even made up a whole word for public speaking called glossophobia. It took me a while to even remember how to spell glossophobia, but it actually is just the way it sounds. Glossophobia. 2 S's in the middle there. S as in Stephen. And that's about the 118 mark. So that's a technique how you can pivot or segue. It's one of my favorite words in public speaking is to pivot or segue to the previous topic or a topic that maybe could be helpful for small business owners in our purpose. But which school has the best mascot, Mary?
Which school has the best mascot? Boy, that's a tough one because there's some very interesting ones. But I got to say my favorite mascot was my high school mascot, which was the Rangers. So we were Cowboys. We ended up having full John Wayne Western outfit that our mascot wore coming in on a horse. Another one that I absolutely love is the Army Knights. An old knight metal suit with the sword and all. I personally don't believe mascots are designed to help build spirit and help individuals connect with their team in a fun way. And so it just depends on which sport you connect with. I think there's a lot more dumber ones and better ones, like, for instance, the Minnesota Wild. What exactly is that? There's so many different avenues to look at when it comes to sports and events and how to turn and get people to buy merchandise. You know, it's like Nike and just do it. You know, I buy, and now they've added different colors like pink for girls to get females more into different sporting events. But the biggest mascot that I relate to is my old high school mascot, and it's all about, you know, team spirit. And I'm a big John Wayne fan. I'm big into the Rangers and Cowboys and things like that, and all into the cowboy boots and stuff like that. But you know, there's so many different ways to look at it. And my brain is really not working today.
Well, thank you. I was just about to clap you and say great job. So you could have stopped there. Perfect. You're at 2:15. You're gauging your time really good.
Could I add a couple to the mix?
Well, actually, what you can do is I'll call on the next topic, and then you could make believe that you're an expert on pivoting and segueing, and then you can go back to Mary's topic. So, or you could add this in too, in that 1.5 to 2
All
minutes.
right.
So, what do you enjoy eating when you're alone, or you can choose the previous topic? And I might let somebody in the room too, so we'll have to deal with that interruption as well. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I would say that I like food. I don't really have any favorites, but I like all kinds of cuisines, and so to me just doesn't matter. But I would like to add to Mary's statement about two that I've enjoyed over the years. One was the Philadelphia Philly, and the other one was the San Diego Chicken.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. And I just want to also make a note too that I wanted to welcome Jace here into the room. By the way, you were at almost at a minute mark. Jace, just as a tip, you might want to know that because you don't have an underline underneath your name here on my beach resort platform, after you're done speaking and I call on somebody else, pick on my name that's underlined, and it'll open up in a new tab after you tap on it, and then register yourself so that you won't, and then you can refresh this browser that you're in now. It's all browser based, our OMG networking platform. So make sure you try to do that, register yourself so we can get an underline like Mary has underneath her name. Jeff just did it, but I just didn't see a verification come through yet. So hopefully he stays with us as long as possible. And you might be here for 20 minutes. So just in case you get kicked out, it wasn't me, it's the platform. But try to get yourself registered on my omgtalk.com platform. By clicking on my name, you'll be able to get on the platform. Then to come back in, you just look at the tab at the top that says Skylar Verse, and then hit the little recycle symbol that's for refresh for your browser. And before you get kicked, actually, I'll go to somebody else while you're doing that, Jace, and then hopefully we'll get to hear you for about an impromptu networking topic. We call this table topics like they do in Toastmasters in 145 countries, but we call it networking topics. You missed our self-introductions, but let's just spin off your self-introduction when you get situated and let me know. Just wave your hand when you're ready. What restaurant makes the best hamburger, Mary?
What restaurant makes the best hamburgers? So many people are going to say McDonald's or Burger King. My favorite hamburgers are the mom and pop little biker bars and small little truck stop restaurants that you come across when you're just on a drive. One, they're cheaper, but two, they're not so small. They tend to make them bigger and add more junk to them. Granted, McDonald's, Burger King, all them guys have good food, but I gotta say my favorite is when you adding the lettuce, the tomatoes, the mayo, the ketchup, and getting them at mom and pop stops is really good to help the economy because you're helping support small businesses and putting money into your local communities. So not only do you get good food, but you also get to support other organizations like yours.
Amen to that. Give her a round of applause. Everybody should get applause here. You're guaranteed to get applause and instant recognition as well. I'll reset that timer and go for our next contestant, victim, small business owner. Where would you take a cruise? And even if you like cruises or not like cruises, it doesn't matter. Where would you take a cruise, Jeff?
I would like to take a cruise. Well, I like history, and I would like to take a cruise down the rivers of Europe. You know, there's some really historical buildings and castles that are built right by these rivers. And it just seems that that would be the easiest way to discover them.
Is that your last thought?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. I didn't want to cut you off too late. All right, you're almost at a minute. I try to get people to get to the minimum, and then a minute and a half, I'll wave the gavel again. 2 minutes, I'll wave the gavel again, and then 30. Look, I see an actual alert this time, and when I go to members, let's see if that worked. Or I see an alert that Jace signed up through my referral link. Okay, so in this particular circumstance, because he clicked on my name, I should have seen the alert, like Jeff, it was on my name, not my community, on OMG Biz Cafe. But either way, if Jace clicks on the little recycle symbol in the browser Skylarverse, you should have a underline under your name. You might temporarily come out of our meeting, Jace. So if you want to try that, and you hit the recycle symbol at the top of the browser for Skylarverse is the headline in the browser tab. You'll come out and come back into the meeting, and then you should be underlined. Let's see if it works, and that way we can prove that maybe Jeff missed a step, or if you both have the same problem or not. And then while you're doing that, I think maybe I'll surprise somebody with the next topic. Which musical would love to see what I love to see on Broadway? I think I would love to see the musical OMG Biz Cafe on Mondays at 5:30. But I don't know if I want to hear you guys sing, because I don't know.
You sing it.
I don't know if I myself or anybody here could hold a note.
Well, how about if we just tune up? Me.
That is the most egotistical song I've ever heard in my life. But I'll let it slide.
It could be $1 million hit. You never know.
Can you quickly put on ChatGPT, Mary, some kind of verse that you could tell me and say like 5 words and tell me to repeat it, and tell me 5 more words and I'll repeat it and make it into a song? Did you know you can make a rap song out of ChatGPT if you're not a rapper? Like I've tried it. I say make this thing 6 verses and make me a rap song, and then choose the topic, and it literally gives you a rhyme for 7 verses, and it makes me in like 3 seconds I'm a rapper. I might be reading it unless you're good at memorizing within like 60 seconds.
Even better yet, Easy Peasy AI creates an AI version of it that you won't even know that it's AI, with music and all.
Easy, it's called EASY PZ, EASY. This is like a new one. I have to write this down. Easy Peasy AI. If Mary says we should go look at it, I trust her.
It's what I've used for all my entrance music for all the radio shows.
Okay, I'm definitely adding it to my list of my tool bucket. And since Jace did that, let's ask him a question here to get to know him. And before you answer this question, Jace, hopefully if you don't get kicked off, don't yell at me. Just come back next Monday, or try to come back in. It might say you can't come back in for 10 minutes. I know it's a long time if that happens.
I was having issues trying to get back in just now. I was like, let me just rock it out and ride it out.
Oh, you never left, by the way. We can still see your video.
That's
just so
right.
you know.
I'm saying it wasn't going nowhere.
Oh. But
I'm on medication. You gotta forgive me. I just had surgery.
Okay. Well, glad to have you back from whatever you came back from. And tell us how to say your name and what state or country are you in, and then also answer this question. After all that, are you working to correct any of your faults? And nothing personal. It's just a question I popped out of a box.
That's wow. Okay, I'll start with this. My name is Jace Nesby. I live in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a born and raised native New Yorker, and I am a energy consultant and broker by trade, commercial energy, and I'm a child of God. And that's a great question because I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor. So every day for me is about overcoming challenges and being better than yesterday. You know, every day of these last 8 years has always been about a struggle or recovery, you know, and I'm so present and in the moment because of it. It's like a superpower. You know, most people are worried about tomorrow. So I'm worried about the past. I kind of stay right here and worry about and enjoy every single second and savor everything. I'm savoring all of you guys right now.
And with a smile too.
Yeah, I mean, I did it with a smile on my face like I liked it. And that was part of the secret. You know, I had 47 surgeries in 8 years. And, you know, I had one a couple hours ago. But it is what it is.
And don't mind this golden gavel. At 1 minute, I hold it up. At 1:30 seconds, I hold it up. And at 2 minutes, I hold it up. And then 30 seconds to wrap up. But the minimum, I try to get people to talk for 1 minute about a different topic, networking table topic. And then we'll, and so tell us, so you're from Brooklyn, New York, and you've always been there all your life, or you came from somewhere else?
Well, I've been born and raised in New York, but I left when I was in the military. I moved to San Diego for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it out there. It's my second favorite city in the country. Maybe I'll retire there. That might still be in the plan.
I hear the weather's good there because I went to San Diego one time.
Yeah, it's the best weather in the country. You know, I couldn't believe it. You know, I went from snow. Like I lived up in the mountains, you know, and these guys, when it was winter, they would literally drive their pickup trucks to the mountains and come back with the back full up of snow and have snowball fights in the parking lot, you know. And I've met people that was the first time they ever saw snow, and it just tripped me out. Yeah, so that's a little funny thing. But it's good to see you guys. I'm glad you do what you do. I'm just here first time.
I'm trying to get some more notice here. I'm trying to hope the audio works on my YouTube, which says, come in. We're having a live meeting to network at omgtalk.com any Monday at 5:30 Eastern time. Did we lose somebody? No, just the video for Mary. Okay. Sometimes the video is shuffled when someone turns on and off their video. All right, so at this point, I'm going to tell you the time and parameters for prepared speeches, which you don't have to prepare a speech for this because it's about a 6-minute maximum and 30 seconds to wrap up. A business spotlight on why you do what you do. So I guess in order of the attendees that came here today, including myself, so we'll have 4 where we get to know each other for about the next 24 minutes. And then we have a couple of feedback at the end, and then wish you guys a great night, and then have a great week, and then see you next Monday, or bring a guest also next Monday at 5:30 Eastern time at omgtalk.com. So why don't we start with Jeff? But before Jeff continues for about 6 minutes, what I do is at 5 minutes, you'll see me doing this if you're going to be talking for longer than 5 minutes. And then I'll put it down, not to distract you, and then another minute till 6 minutes. I'll wave it again at 6, and then I'll let another minute go by at 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and then 7 minutes. I'll put up the gavel in 7 minutes, and then you'll have 30 seconds to wrap it up. And then we'll continue on with the next. So let me just unlock my phone again so I can see my timer. And now you have 5 to 7 minutes for 30 seconds to wrap up. Jeff is from the California area, for those that just came in. And he has a pretty unique function and what he does over there in California. Take the online stage, Jeff, and I'll start the timer.
Thank you. Actually, what we do has a lot in common with what Mary does with PTSD. We are a 501c3 organization. our charge is on the educational side. We educate people on workplace bullying, and we do that through training. We do it through our website. We do it through our social media sites and our YouTube channel as well. We will work with an organization that has a workplace bullying problem and show them how they can solve it. It's not a easy task, but it can be done. And we also work with, I have in the past as a shop steward, work with people that have been traumatized by workplace bullying and get them some trauma-informed therapy, as well as help work with them to organize their case so that it can be handed off, if necessary, to an attorney for the legal process. Workplace bullying is actually legal in the United States, in most states. The only state that I'm aware of that it's not legal is Puerto Rico. It is ruining people's lives on the long term, and through a combination of mental injuries and physical chronic conditions like cancer. And by the way, Jace, I'm also a cancer survivor. I tell people that, you know, in our first meeting, I tell people that, you know, you got to understand, your job is not worth your health. But if you want to fight this, I'm with you all the way. And that accomplishes a lot of support for them and changes their outlook, because we know that the first feelings that people have is anxiety and shame. And as that shame builds in their mind, if you don't put those get them to put those thoughts out, it can lead to depression. It can lead to suicidal tendencies. And we also know that when they come seeking help, they're looking for justice. And as they're looking for justice, if they don't get that help early on and along the way, we know from studies that some of these mass murders go back to somebody being bullied. So it's really a problem. In fact, the NIH in 2023 declared the workplace bullying an epidemic in our workplaces. That's how serious it is.
It's terrible.
And is that your conclusion, or did you have a last thought you wanted to wrap up?
Well, the second charge we have is to work towards getting bills passed in the state legislature to get rid of workplace bullying in the workplace. And we talked, Paul, you and I talked earlier, but one of the things that I got to do after this is I have a meeting with a lobbyist about that very thing.
Well, that's great that you're taking things into action.
You got to be the change, you know.
So give Jeff a round of applause
With
because
you on
public
that one.
speaking is
Thank
not
you.
always for everybody. And there's a whole Toastmaster program in over 100 years to improve. And I'll even give you some 2 to 3 improvements for public speaking that we could all use. Next up, I'll reset my timer. You about a 5.5, a little bit longer. So good timing as well, between 5 to 7 minutes. Next up, we'll call upon Mary, since I think you were here after Jeff. So you know the timing parameters, you know the drill, 5 to 7 minutes. I'll wave the magic gavel, 5, 6, and 7, 30 seconds to wrap up. Take it away and tell us something new about your business or something old that these guys don't know about yet. Mary Stanley.
Good evening. So I want to start tonight by telling you about a mother I met a few years ago. She sat down in my office, tears streaming down her eye. And something that I would never forget. She said, I love my son more than life itself, but I feel like I am destroying him. Every day is a battle, and I think I'm losing. I'm Mary Stanley, and I'm the founder of Supportive Minds. And that mother's story is one of my stories. And it's the story of how so many families that I've met and talked to and just seen on social media. It's the story of how desperate love, though a profound gap in understanding, leads to unintentional harm. My life's work is dedicated to closing that gap. Our entire philosophy is built on one core principle: trauma-informed autism care. And let's be clear what that means, because it's kind of a new term being used. And what it is, autism itself isn't trauma, it's how their brain's wired. Their brains are always wired in flight or flight response, which is why they tend to get overwhelmed by their environments. And acknowledging that living every single day in a world that is not built for them is very overwhelming. And the constant assault on sensory information that just can't be filtered on a regular basis. The confusion of social cues makes it hard to read and understand. And not to mention, a lot of our feelings that we feel in our bodies feel the same. You know, like for instance, happiness can also feel like anxiety. Mad can also feel sad, which is why they get confused, because a lot of things feel internally the same, and not being able to read that environment to understand what the words are. So I help families navigate this. And I knew we needed more than just textbooks and clinical theories. So we needed mentors with a certain kind of lived experience. And that's why I reached out to our nation's veterans. Who better to understand living with hypervigilance than those who live that world? So we've created a new part of our organization and partnering veterans struggling with PTSD as a mentor for autistic children to help understand each other at a different level and help each other overcome what they're struggling with. Having that clear structure and feeling of trying to reintegrate into that world doesn't always understand what you've been through. And these children do. So our veterans work with families to reframe everything, and how they help them see their child as a child instead of just a collection of defiant behaviors, and start getting into that operating system. A neurotypical brain is a lot like a computer running Windows, and an autistic brain is a Mac. Both are brilliant, both are powerful, but when you're running on Windows and they're running on Mac, the communication barriers struggle to overcome itself and getting that message across. You know, you can't get angry at the Mac for running a Windows software. You can't try to force something that doesn't work. Push it. Find the right software, find the right words, the right tools, perform it at the absolute best. And a lot of our veterans are helping others understand those avenues. Which brings us to a difficult conversation that I'm going to talk about tonight. Because when you're trying to run the wrong software, unknowingly, a lot of times what we do causes meltdowns. And the way a lot of we deal with these meltdowns can be said it is abusive behavior, but we've allowed it to be an acceptable behavior. For example, locking children in their rooms because you don't know what to do with them because they elope. Well, we childproof our houses when we have young children, but as they get older, we stop doing that. And so instead of putting a deadbolt lock on the house so they can't get out, putting locks on windows so they can't escape, we lock them in their rooms. We're not teaching them no, we're just allowing their behavior to continue until it becomes out of control and creating this environment. So one thing I'm working on and we're doing is we're passing legislation to be more keen, plus adding more education into our departments so that we're more aware of subtle cues of what would be with abuse and teaching parents better ways to handle their children instead of desperate last resorts. And that's what I do in my organization and help changing the world as we speak.
Yeah.
All right.
That analogy is amazing. The PC and the Mac, it really pushes your point home. Like it made me visualize it really great. That was wonderful.
With you guys, I use PC and Mac. With older generations, I use card catalogs and internet.
Listen, I
know how about a Rolodex?
I know a little bit about the Sears catalog.
There you go.
How about a Rolodex?
There you go.
So why don't we bring up to the stage for the first time here at OMG Biz Cafe, Jace Nesby from Brooklyn, New York. I'll set the time for 5 minutes and tell us about your passion, your business passion.
My business passion is helping people. My life passion is helping people. So to be in a profession where I run around all day helping people is kind of ideal. You know, is kind of to go back to the little cliche. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. It's kind of like that. You know, for the last 20 years, I've been in the commercial energy industry. I literally empower small to mid-sized companies to purchase their power like the Fortune 500 companies by getting it wholesale instead of retail. And it does tremendous for. It gives them a sense of freedom. It gives them a sense of just having control. You know, electricity and gas are prices that just have spiraled out. Like, you know, back in 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, and it made our prices go up and triple for almost a year and change. You know, we suffer for stuff that's going on 8,000 miles away. And unless you got wholesale contracts in place, you're subject to all of that volatility. You know, it could be a hurricane somewhere or a storm somewhere. It could be who's in office. There's so many different things that affect them personally and affect their wallet, you know, on a consistent basis. Once they can just sign a wholesale contract and set it and forget it, like I can stop a business's bills from increasing for anywhere from, for a regular business, up to a half a decade. You know, if you've got a bigger business or we're doing some renewable energy solutions, I can lock your prices for 25 to 40 years. Like, you can save people millions of dollars just on a signature. You know, it's really amazing. But being, you know, I'm a senior guy in New York. I've been since my beard was black. You know, I was the guy who do the hospitals, the hotels, the management companies, and all those big things. You know, they meant a lot because they pay the bills. You know, but my passion lies in what I call pro bono work. You know, working in areas that other people might not go, and those people end up underserved, or um, like for instance, Long Island. Long Island's deregulated, meaning they can get an alternative supplier or wholesale contract with their gas, but not with their electricity. So somebody just working in the city, they can do your gas and your electricity. So therefore, Long Island gets neglected a lot because you're going out there and you're doing the work, same exact work for half the paycheck because you can only get one commodity. So, like right now, I'm in the middle of working with a big university out there, and I told them, I said, "This is I came across you guys from years ago when I was on my pro bono. I take a couple hours every week and make sure I hit those areas where nobody else is going to go. Even though it's a half a paycheck, those people need help too, because this is it's a tremendous thing, you know. Um, I when I closed my first, I think I told Paul about this. When I closed the first big deal I ever did, you know, I saved these guys like $4.3 million, and I was stoked. You know, I was through the roof, ecstatic. You couldn't tell me nothing. I did a big, huge presentation, 20-page booklet, color graphs, spreadsheets, 5-year projections, company info. Took it to Kinko's, made a book, went to the board, dazzled them. You know, chairman called me over, signed the contract. He's like, "All right, thanks. Like, see the door." And I just was boggled. You know, I went through the double doors and I was just like, what went wrong with that? What's wrong with that picture? Why are they not even phased? I'm super ecstatic, can't sleep for half a week just because of what I'm doing, you know? So later that week, that was Monday, you know, and when I went back to my office, I talked to my regional director and she said, you know, what kind of company was it? I said, it's a management company. And she's like, oh, well, that's what it is. You know, it's because it's not their money. It's the owner of the building's money. You know, he said, and I was like, it made that bit of sense for a second, you know. But then she said, when they take that same magnificent presentation you put together and they give it to the building owners, they're going to have a whole lot more enthusiasm about it then, you know, and they're probably going to use it to buck for a raise, you know. And I was like, okay, got it. So so that put me in the right perspective, because that Thursday night I was in Staten Island, which is the boonies, you know, not some place you're going to go all the time. It's 7:30 at night. It's snowing. I got some guys training them how to do a door-to-door. They're like, yo, let's go home. And I was like, there's one more door in the block. You got to do this last door. You can't just quit. You know, so we go, and it's a quaint little Jamaican restaurant. You know, I ring the bell, and Granny comes out, you know, and I realized that Granny needed my help so bad. Like, I asked her to see her bill, and she was literally paying like 21 cents a kilowatt. I cut it in half, dropped it to 11 cents, locked it for 5 years so it'd never go up. And she's potentially going to save about $50,000 or $60,000. When I reverse engineered her bill and just showed her the difference, like $1,200 a month difference, she just jumped in my arm and laid on my chest and cried like a baby. You know, and I was just blown away, like, to this day, to think of, you know, somebody's great grandmother just, you know, like, I just saved her business or something. You know, those kind of interactions, they feed my soul. You know, big deals, yeah, they feed your pockets and it's great. You know, you're probably saving people's jobs, saving the money, but the small and mid-sized businesses is where it's at, and that's where my passion lies, because they need it the most. You know, so that's a little bit about my passion and where it comes from. What I'm doing with it now is just, I'm trying to take it to the next level. You know, how are we on time there, Paul?
Oh, you're at 6 minutes and 16 seconds, so you have a last thought to get in if you'd like.
All right. My point and my advice to anybody out there who might be a brick and mortar business owner who might not know anything about power, if you just call the power station and say, hey, I need a meter, they're going to give you a retail meter. Your price changes every month. Call somebody, look up a supplier, call a consultant, and ask them how you can lower your rates or fix your prices. And it could save you $50,000 or more if you got a small business. You just don't know. If you got a big business, it could be millions of bucks. Talk to somebody. They're here to help you for free. They won't charge you for advice.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'll give you a round of applause since sometimes our members might drop off due to that underline, but the two people that have the underline or don't have the underline are here, and the one person that had the underline either got kicked off or her kids came running in the room naked because she's dealing with live neurodiversity as we speak in her family. So I understand completely. Mary's been a long-time customer of the OMG Biz Cafe. And I'll wrap up, and then I have a little extra bonus feedback for you guys that are either expert public speakers or don't mind a tip to improve even your public speaking, and then I'll wrap up the meeting as well. Maybe ask for your own feedback as well too, what you liked and what you learned from our meeting. So I'm Paul Finkelstein. I'm for the Delray Beach area. I'll start my clock, and similar to you guys, I think two areas that I'm going to focus on is procrastination and mediocrity. And I'm sure all of what you guys both do probably aid in that. You probably also love self-help books like Think and Grow Rich. It is one book that I read almost every single day. When you only because if you read it a lot, you could read that book 200 and something pages, real book, not just the digital, in literally a cup of coffee, and you're done with the whole book because you just have to look at your notes, and then you're done after you've read that thing over 100 times. There's one chapter devoted entirely to procrastination, and I love the idea that if I have a program to help procrastination and mediocrity, and I'm going to do that by addressing two different stories that were revolving around the word comfortable. And I'll maybe dazzle you or bore you with this story, but in 1991, I was for the first time in Israel, in northern Israel, by what was called a kibbutz. And it was a small amount of population that lived there in the Golan Heights area, not too far from Lebanon and Syria. And but it was quiet at the time in 91. So hopefully it stays quiet now. But that being said, at 3 o'clock in the morning was the first time I ever milked cows. Was not in the U.S. I came from New York, but not way up north in New York or where there was cows. I had to go find cows in Israel. And at that time in 1991, they did not milk cows by doing the old-fashioned method by doing this. If you can see in my video and you picture milking cows, they actually had a device that you just held up to the cow, put it on the udder, and then just walked away, and it was some kind of a timer, and then when a bell went off, the cow was done. Then you put a little iodine on top of the cow's udder, and then the cows came down a conveyor belt, like at the airport with baggage, only it was cows. And until like 100 cows were done, after we kept doing this, and so literally just putting on this little plastic device onto the cow, and I guess that's how milk was done more innovative for sure. But when I went down there, I didn't know how to work the machinery. There was this guy that spoke Russian and he spoke Hebrew, and he didn't speak English. And I'm at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in my early 20s. And I said, I didn't say anything to him. He didn't say anything to me, but he said he was holding up his boots, and I think he wanted me to use boots because I didn't know that cows step in what looked like a lot of mud, but it was really they poop a lot. So apparently it was like 3 feet high of poop, and the boots would have come in handy, but I'm thinking it's mud. And I had sneakers and a ratty pair of jeans, and I said, I don't care. I'll just hose myself down after this was done. And that's exactly what I did. But because I didn't feel comfortable with him, but for some reason he heard me say the word comfortable. And I said comfortable, and the Russian said comfortable. And I said comfortable again, and he said comfortable. And we kept going back and forth with one word. We were communicating with one word, comfortable. And I thought to myself, how could you teach somebody if you don't know the language? Or how could you learn if you don't know the language? So 34 years later, like now you could do some math and a little bit, and 25, how I ended up in a similar circumstance where I was meeting with somebody's mother who lived in their house, and they knew English, but the husband couldn't speak to the mother-in-law, and I couldn't speak to the mother-in-law because she only knew Russian. And they had come from Ukraine, and they're living over here in Boynton Beach, about 15 minutes from my house here today. And I said, this reminds me of some circumstance. She's Russian. She couldn't speak English. So I just was direct about it. We weren't milking cows, and I said, "Could you tell me how to say in English from Russia? How to say in Russian? How to say in Russian the word comfortable? So I could finally know how to speak to a Russian or Ukrainian for that matter." And she just told me the word, and it was some long word, but I think they had their English equivalent, and it sounded like the same word, like comfortably or something. But there was some other word on top of that, like dubla something. And then I thought, wow, 34 years later, I'm thinking the same thing. How could you learn if you don't know the language? And sometimes the language of mediocrity and procrastination sticks in for years and years and years because somebody takes a job from high school, or they go to college and they take a job, and then all of a sudden they're at that job for 40 years. Although some people have 11 jobs in 40 years, and they never go above a certain level. And their certain level is their income circle or their comfort zone circle. And their comfort zone circle is their size of their income. And it doesn't get any bigger because they stay at that job for 40 years. The next thing you know, life concludes and you die. And I thought maybe there's some people out there that would like to get above mediocrity and above procrastination. And I'm looking for people that are entrepreneurs or people that want to be entrepreneurs or want to be business owners and get involved in a program that could create dream builders. A word that I came across somewhere. I don't know which particular place, but whether it was Toastmasters or Dale Carnegie or a particular business, this dream builders. A lot of business people probably say it as well. And I want to make more dream builders. I want to make more entrepreneurs. And I have a whole program to do it with 2 different pathways and be independent. So if you know somebody that's looking for a venture that they could be on their own and be their own boss, that's one of my pet peeves that I want to do, because my mom was a early bird entrepreneur, but back then I think people in my family, like my sister, called my mother a workaholic. And I think that a workaholic was an early bird version of an entrepreneur. Maybe some of you could agree with me on that. There's an article on Stellar Network called that Jimmy John, when he started as an entrepreneur, and I think he's a billionaire today. I'm nowhere near any of that. I'm just glad to be able to just keep on shooting and not be a big shot. But literally, I don't mock his success or anybody's success that has this work ethic, that just has this drive and energy where you can keep going like the Energizer Bunny. I'm actually, believe it or not, I did not go overtime. I'm at 6 minutes and 57 seconds. But if you know anybody that wants to be a dream builder and can get along with the fit of my energy and enthusiasm, then remember me. And here I'll throw in for the audio for those people listening. Tell someone to text the words dream builder to my cell at 561-302-0051. I kind of call it the James Bond phone number. So 561-302-0051. You can call it, put the text in there and put dream builder. And I love to work with people that have drive to start a business, whether you're 65 and you're like Kentucky Fried Chicken's Colonel, who started his business when he got his first Social Security check. And then I'll go into our third part of our meeting to wrap up our meeting, which is a feedback portion. And Toastmasters calls it evaluations run by a general evaluator. And that general evaluator sets their time for 2 minutes, and then I'll wave my gavel at 2.5 minutes, and I'll go to 3 minutes, and then I'll have 30 seconds to wrap up. I'm going to do one evaluation for all 4 of us, because I think I could tie in some evaluation for all 4 of us and all of our public speeches. And if I start now, Jace, Jeffrey, Mary, if you listen to this later, and myself and any other Toastmaster, small business owner, and entrepreneur, when you're public speaking, there's so many things you could do well and so many things that we can all improve. And one thing I think, or 3 things that I think we did all really well, is we all had passion. We all showed up, and entrepreneurs show up. They don't say they're going to be somewhere and never show up. So I commend you guys all for doing that. You were willing to sign on to my OMG talk and click in, and maybe I'll see your name underlined, and maybe it's technology. Maybe it's you and user error. We were talking about user error a little bit earlier. But you guys all smiled at least once in this meeting. You all clapped at least once in this meeting. And I'm going to offer now one little tip to improve. And here's your tip to improve, because I think that we all kind of look the same in all these boxes virtually. But one way to stand out is via a prop. The first time I saw somebody use a prop was in a Dale Carnegie meeting where they actually had a pen that was the coveted Dale Carnegie pen, and it said most improved and most valuable speaker. And whoever won it, they actually held up the pen and say, I can't wait till you sign the deal for your next $1 million electric, or save somebody in anti-bullying, or and Mary's field as well, or me getting the next dream builder to be an entrepreneur, and give them a prized pen. But by holding up a pen or a prop could maybe stand yourself out in any virtual meeting, or just by me using a gavel, which you might not be able to see unless I hold it in front of my face so you can see it, because it gets doesn't work with the virtual background. So it's great that if you could hold it up and say, hey, now I'm already different than all of you because I have this magic prop. But a lot of people actually use the prop when they're speaking, and that's called a PowerPoint. But if you notice that I can compare the prop to a PowerPoint any day of the week, because if I take this prop and I wave it in front of my face the whole time while I'm speaking, you guys are going to get dizzy and you're going to get distracted by this thing. And that's what people do with PowerPoints. They put the PowerPoint up, their little faces down here, and our attention is to the words on the screen, the graphs, the pretty pictures, and then you become the prop and the speaker becomes the PowerPoint. So I'm always like a pet peeve when somebody uses a PowerPoint to do what the bulk of their speaking. I would love if they stop their PowerPoint and let us see them, like you're seeing when we all talk. So that's just my one little tip to improve as well. And that's at the 2-minute and 40 mark. And now I'm going to go to you guys. I'll start with Jeffrey, then go to Jace, and then Mary will miss out on this. And I'll offer some like and learn as well, which is Jeffrey, what did you like about the last almost hour plus that we've been here together? What did you like best, and what did you learn from today's meeting? Anything?
Well, what I liked best was the fact that everybody was not only passionate, but was having fun with what we were doing. And to me, fun and humor tend to make life in serious moments a lot more tolerable. As far as what I learned, I learned that we were all have different occupations, but really we have the same kinds of passion amongst us with regards to those occupations.
And you get some applause for that too.
That is,
yeah.
He kind of nailed it there too. I was like, yeah, me piggybacking on you and everything. It was like, wow.
And Jace or Jeff, do you ever get the end of your speech or 6-minute talk impromptu? You're just having a cup of coffee at a coffee shop, and then after you leave, you think of 10 more things that you could have said. And I wish I had mentioned pro bono also, because it's a big part of what I do. That the big players, one of my industries is in the financial industry that I learned from my mom in the financial planning space. And a lot of financial planners only like to deal with the big boys that have a lot of assets, like $1 million or more. But I literally I could make money, and I learned how to make money and help people in the 100,000 or less. I was going to say $1 million or less, but it doesn't really cut to the chase that if someone has less than 50,000, they have $50 to their name. We could start them off in the right direction, then getting them to listen. Just takes a little bit of repetitiveness. So thanks for mentioning that word pro bono as well. But Jace, why don't you share what you liked and what you learned? That's my favorite part of the meeting, is to ask people what they liked and what they learned for the last hour. So
one thing I learned. Well, first of all, I'm a comedian. I try to find humor in everything. Laughter is the best medicine. I don't care what anybody ever tells you. I can remember I got pictures laid up in ICU like this with tubes and everything, and I'm like this. So it literally, though, chemicals are released in your brain that really help you when you laugh. You can actually fool yourself into being happy by smiling. Like, make a big smile and hold it for 10 seconds and let it go and watch how much better you feel automatically. It's crazy. It's I'm glad you mentioned. There's a few things I wanted to touch on. One was the book that you were talking about, where it's like your little Bible. I got one of those too. It may not be right here.
There's a whole chapter on what you just said, that the brain doesn't know the difference between what's imagined and what's real. Just what you said
Yeah.
that's why I love what you just said.
That's where I got this from. I was NLPing myself, neuro-linguistic programming, with the little headset, and my ear got messed up from it. And but it's the constant. My philosophy with my circle is we call it constant, never-ending improvement. When you said the magic word, that kind of let me know, like, anytime I hear this word, it's like a message from God. Mediocrity. When I was first interviewed for an energy position on Wall Street, it was my first job in like 15 years. Like, I was an entrepreneur my entire life. I worked in my family businesses. I literally did a resume. I couldn't believe it. So I got in there and I'm telling the guy, I said, listen, I'm going to be the guy that does the hospitals, the management companies, the hotels, because I had a lot of connections in the city. I said, but if you want me to start off on the phones at the bottom, he said, I'm going to do it. I said, but I'm going to bust it out and I'm going to excel. I said, I'm going to be one of the best guys you got here. I said, because, if I can't be one of the best in the world at something, I said, I'm not built for mediocrity. I said, if I can't be one of the best in the world at something, I won't do it. I'll do something different. And he started laughing at me, like laughing. I don't think he's laughing at me, not to me, but at me. And I was like, what's so funny? Like, I kind of took offense for a minute. I'm telling you my credo, and you laughing at me like I said something funny. And he said, wait, no. He said, before you get upset, he said, look over your shoulder behind your back. So I look over my shoulder. There's a big plaque on the wall that said, I'd rather die of thirst than drink from the cup of mediocrity. And that was the company's motto. And they had it up in every one of their single offices all throughout the United States and Canada. And from that, he said that right there was a sign from God to me. He said, I think you're going to be a good fit. And if you are as good as you say you are, we're going to fast track you. And let's go. And that was the start of it. So mediocrity and, not being built for mediocrity is what got me even into this position, and I felt I could have been in any one of hundreds of companies, and God landed me in the right company with the right heart, with the with a crew that cares, and that they're not just some heartless multi-billion-dollar entity. They're real people that care about people and care about their customers, and and they've made all kinds of concessions for my customers. That's like when you're the big guy and you've been around for a while, you get to be able to do things for people that others maybe can't. So that's why I love getting me. When a customer gets me, I tell them, I don't know who you pray to, but somebody's looking out for you. And so that was the mediocrity. The other point I wanted to make, when I got into my third commercial office, it was my mentor was Cyrus Khalilian. He's an amazing guy. Love you, Cyrus, if you're seeing this. He taught me a whole lot. One of the first things he ever taught me, literally the first day I got in his office, is he made a statement that just resounded with me. He said, you have to expand your mind before you expand your wallet. He said, because if you don't, then your mind is going to mess your wallet up until it gets to right where you feel like you deserve. What you were just talking about, that's your paradigm. Where people, he said, that's why 95% of the people that win the lotto, you come back 5 years later, they're broken than they were before, because now they got credit. And it's because when your mind is not ready and open enough for that abundance to flow into it, it'll feel like you don't deserve this. I'm not worthy. And that's why you got all these rock stars ODing and stuff, because the fame and the fortune was too much for them. They weren't ready for it. So by expanding your paradigm and expanding your mind, you make room for so much more money.
You threw $1 million word in there, paradigm. I learned that from Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. When I heard that, the first time I read it, I actually read paradigm.
Yeah, listen, I thought it was that too. I was like, paradigm, what's that?
Yeah, right. Paradigm sounds so powerful when you figure out how to say it.
Yeah, it's serious. It's
But
real
as
serious.
a recap for those people that tune in later, we've been talking about working on correcting faults, which musical you'd love to see on Broadway, where you would like to take a cruise, what restaurant makes the best burger, what do you enjoy eating when you're alone, which school has the best mascot, Mary had that one, which childhood friend would you like to connect to with, how are your character and reputation different, Jeffrey tackled that one, and whose plastic surgery finally changed them from attractive to scary looking, Mary tackled that one just before Halloween. And I'm glad you guys were here with me. If we can grow this by word of mouth and have you just tell one person, omgtalk.com, and come in on Mondays at 5:30 Eastern, and we'll do networking table topics, as they're called, and then 6-minute more speeches, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. If we get more people, obviously we'll just shrink down the business spotlight from 6 minutes to a little bit less, but a little bit more time than just the table topic or networking topic. So thank you guys all for coming. I'll pare down my I'll stop my stream on YouTube.